The $100,000 H-1B fee. Trump converts talent migration into capital extraction. Sep 20th sources. Primary, White House Presidential Proclamation, Sep 19, 2025, White House Fact Sheet. Secondary, Associated Press, Reuters, The Guardian, Al Jazeera, Bloomberg, CBS News. Executive Summary. On September 19, 2025, President Donald Trump issued a presidential proclamation requiring U.S. companies to pay a $100,000 annual fee for each H-1B visa petition. The measure reframes legal high-skilled immigration not as an administrative procedure, but as a capital-based gatekeeping mechanism, effectively pricing out smaller firms and shifting high-skill migration into a transactional, extractionary framework. Simultaneously, the proclamation introduces a gold card pathway, granting permanent residency to individuals willing to pay $1 million, signaling a pivot toward commodifying citizenship itself. The policy has immediate implications for the U.S. tech sector. Foreign talent pipelines, especially India, with China largely excluded but symbolically reinforced as outside the gate, and global perceptions of American openness. At a structural level, it reveals a new strategy, using immigration not to attract talent, but to generate revenue and enforce national economic filtering. BBIU editorial opinion: Visas, Trade, and Capital, Architecture of Control and Reordering 2025. Internal BBIU references for contextual reading. Korea's $350 negotiation stalemate with the U.S. leaves silent resistance. www.BioPharma Business Intelligence Unit.com/U Global. Korea's 350B negotiation stalemate with the U.S. leaves silent resistance. The SPC trap. Korea's $350 negotiation with the U.S. BioPharma Business Intelligence Unit.com/BBIU Global/the SPC trap. Korea's 350B negotiation with the U.S. Deadlock at the core. South Korea's trade pact stumbles over Forex and Trump's warnings. BioPharma Business Intelligence Unit, Harm Business Intelligence Unit, DOM/deadlock at the core. South Korea as trade pact stumbles over Forex and Trump's warnings. Verified context. September 19, 2025. On September 19, 2025, the White House issued a presidential proclamation introducing a $100,000 annual fee per H-1B petition. Officially framed as a labor protection and anti-abuse measure, the new fee is significantly higher than existing USCIS filing costs. Major outlets, Associated Press, Reuters, Guardian, Al Jazeera, CBS, Bloomberg, confirm the proclamation and highlight immediate legal challenges to its authority. Central thesis: the $100,000 H-1B fee is not a narrow immigration reform. It is part of a multi-vector framework of pressure and extraction, alongside tariffs, large-scale investment demands, and financial conditionality. The measure redefines high-skilled immigration as a transactional privilege conditioned on ability to pay and political alignment, and sets the stage for destabilization as a prelude to reordering in corporate structures, national economies, and even healthcare access. 1. Mechanics and discretion base rule. $100,000 annual fee per H-1B petition. Employers are the paying entity. Agency role. DHS, state USCIS must issue implementing guidance, verification, renewals, interaction with existing fees. Exemptions. While not sector-specific in the published text, the proclamation includes a national interest clause, giving the executive discretion to exempt individuals, firms, or industries deemed strategic. This introduces a gatekeeping function that is political as much as administrative. 2. Sectoral impact. Corporate technology. Multinationals may absorb the cost for critical engineers. SMEs and startups are effectively excluded, likely accelerating offshoring and nearshoring. Healthcare, J1, H-1B physicians. Rural hospitals and community health centers rely on international doctors transitioning from J1 residencies via waivers. A $100,000 annual employer fee makes these hires financially unviable, risking further underserved area shortages in primary care, pediatrics, geriatrics, and psychiatry. Academic research. Universities and labs with constrained budgets may reduce foreign hiring unless DHS interprets national interest to include scientific and medical research. 3. Destabilization as a precursor to reordering. The broader package, tariffs, investment demands, H-1B costs, functions as a shock deliberately introduced to destabilize existing arrangements. Corporations, forced to reduce transfers, concentrate sponsorship on high-return talent, and negotiate exemptions. South Korea, confronted with the $350 commitment amid Forex risks, compelled to seek buffers, swap lines, phased tranches, SPVs. Healthcare shortages in rural America create pressure for regulatory restructuring, e.g., HHS penalties for insurers failing network adequacy. This pattern of tension reordering is consistent with the strategic logic of the current U.S. executive approach. 4. Legal dimension. Challengeable authority. Traditionally, agencies can set fees to recover administrative costs, but a $100,000 charge may be deemed punitive or ultra-vires. Legal scholars anticipate litigation under the Administrative Procedure Act, APA. Practical effect. Even before courts act, the proclamation shapes corporate behavior. Injunctions could suspend enforcement, and lower federal courts could enjoin implementation prior to Supreme Court review. Unless such an injunction is issued, the rule remains operative. Congressional angle. The move places pressure on Congress to legislate a new immigration framework post-November 2025, effectively turning this proclamation into leverage for broader reform. Number 5. International vectors. South Korea. The H-1B fee compounds existing tension over the $350 investment package. Labor mobility becomes another axis of negotiation. See BBIU articles above. India, the largest H-1B beneficiary, now facing escalating costs just as its geopolitical positioning with Russia and China grows more ambiguous. The measure doubles as retaliation and deterrent. European Union, positioned to capture displaced global talent through expansion of the EU Blue Card system. China, already largely excluded from H-1B flows, but gains narrative leverage by framing the U.S. as closing itself off to innovation talent. 6. Domestic politics and electoral calendar. For domestic audiences, the narrative is clear. Protect U.S. jobs, make foreigners pay. Regardless of litigation outcomes, the symbolism is intact and politically usable. By November 2025, Trump can present this as proof of toughness, while Congress faces the burden of codifying a sustainable immigration framework. 7. Monitoring indicators. Legal. Injunction filings, judicial reasoning under APA. Regulatory, DHS USCIS guidance defining national interest exemptions. Corporate, public filings, 8K earnings mentioning labor cost headwinds or H-1B reductions, employment announcements, hiring freezes or layoffs tied to visa costs. Healthcare, data on J-1 waiver placements in underserved areas, HHS enforcement of network adequacy. International, Korea's Forex buffer negotiations, India's IT sector lobbying for relief, EU's blue card adjustments. BBIU conclusion. The $100,000 H-1B fee represents a transformative escalation in U.S. immigration policy, shifting the system from regulatory compliance to transactional gatekeeping. Its immediate effect is destabilization. Corporations, hospitals, and governments must reconfigure under uncertainty. Its medium-term effect is reordering. The executive retains leverage through exemptions, Congress is pressed to legislate, and the international system recalibrates around U.S. conditionality. BBIU view neutral. This is not an immigration reform in the traditional sense. It is the institutionalization of extraction as policy, a mechanism that redefines access to visas, to markets, to capital as conditional on payment and alignment. The outcome is a more transactional, less rules-based global system where visas, tariffs, and reserves are instruments of negotiation rather than policy.
Welcome to the BioPharma Business Intelligence Unit, where symbolic integrity meets strategic clarity. At BBIU, we go beyond the headlines to decode the structural forces behind global biopharma, AI, and economic realignment. If you value precision, verification, and symbolic depth, this channel is for you. Subscribe now to access our weekly briefings, dossiers, and intelligence reports, and consider joining our institutional tier to unlock early warning systems, custom metrics, and exclusive strategic insight. You're not just listening, you're entering the future of epistemic intelligence. www.biopharmabusinessintelligenceunit.com